Hey cuties, I'm Miles Sexton, a content creator, activist, and loud and proud disruptor of the norm. On our private bits, we talk about the things and people that don't get talked about enough, or at all. Trust me, as a sober, HIV positive, non-binary person, I would know. Join me as I chat with people in my life and from around the world whose stories deserve to be heard. Maybe you'll learn something new and you will definitely LOL. Our Private Bits is also part of the ACAST Curator Network. All right, cuties. Today on Our Private Bits, I have Mara Lauren Hutchinson joining us. Mara is legally blind and is using social media as a platform to share her journey online. Want to say hi, Mara?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Miles.
Hi.
No, I'm seriously so excited to be here. Thank you
so
for having
happy.
me.
Of course. Honestly, I feel like we just recently got to do a segment on City Line together where we got to like showcase our friend Alexa's like beautiful
Alexa.
clothing line of eye design. And I feel like we were backstage and like we got a chance to kind of chat and connect. And I was like, I need to have you on the podcast.
Well, good. Honestly, I was telling people, I was like, I'm happy that I came a bit early because it really gave us a chance to chat a bit and just say a few words in terms of like everything. I felt like we talked about a lot of stuff during that time.
We went deep in like,
No, we really
the few
did go
minutes
deep.
we had
went
before.
deep.
But I think I really appreciated that about you and just like hearing a bit more about your story and your journey. I was like, I feel like a lot of people need to also hear this. And I think it's such an important story to hear because I think, as like an able-bodied person, I think I have so much privilege, I think, in the world that I live in.
Yes.
And I think these privileges I think I often take for granted. And sort of in my journey of learning and discovering, it's like I think hearing about people's stories like yours, it really helps, I think, like paint a picture about how we have a lot of these like ableist actions within our lives.
100%. And because I was there too, I full on took advantage of a lot of things before being diagnosed with my eye condition. And I get it.
Totally. Well, so I guess maybe just to start can we talk a little bit about maybe just like your journey, I guess, like with your diagnosis and like just so people can kind of like really understand, I guess, like what it's been like for you because you haven't always, been legally blind, right?
Yes. So about almost 13 years ago, I was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa. So it's a very rare eye condition that is pretty much causing me to lose my vision. So I've lost my peripherals already, and I have night blindness as well. Goes with the condition.
Yes.
And I never really honestly realized what was going on till I started to really speak about it in terms of like when I go to the eye doctor, because I didn't realize I was born with this.
Really?
I was born with this genetic rare condition, and you could either have it as soon as, when you're a child or it just shows up randomly, right? And it did. So no wonder during my teenage years, I was always bumping into things and everyone just thought I was clumsy. Oh, you need to get a new prescription again and so on. And I thought the same thing until like, I think early 20s or mid 20s, I was kind of just telling my boyfriend at that time, I said, something is wrong. I feel like I can't see at night. I can't see when we go to the movies or when we go to the club, just dim places in general. And I even said, I can't even see if I'm looking straight, if you're like things are on like my side, my peripherals. So when I went to the doctor for my regular eye checkup, from there, it all started when I said, something's wrong. I feel like something's wrong with me. And then specialists, so he referred me to a different specialist. And then I just kind of I was seeing many doctors because I wasn't accepting what they had to say to me.
Of course.
So second opinions and so on until I landed on an amazing specialist at Sunnybrook Hospital. And that's when they confirmed that I have retinitis pigmentosa. So that was about 13 years ago.
Holy.
And I was honestly, Miles, I was newly engaged.
Oh my gosh.
And it was, it was such a dark time. And
of course. Because like how did that feel? Because I think it must have felt very stripping, I think,
it felt
of your identity.
For sure. Especially when your first specialist was like, didn't even give you a heads up in terms of kind of giving you the news. But the way he went about my first doctor, the way he went about is that, oh, you have a retina, something wrong with your retina. And then we were like, well, what is it? And then he just showed us the image of my eyes, which is pretty much all around it was black.
Huh.
And there was like only little in the middle of my actual vision that was
Yes.
left. So we're trying to get an understanding of it. And he's like, well, you're going blind. And it was like, as soon as he said, you're going blind and there's nothing you
Yeah.
can do about it, because my condition to this day doesn't have any cure or treatment for it,
Really?
right?
So even if you were diagnosed when you were younger, like
Yes,
there's still nothing that they can do. Okay.
do. So to hear those words in your, like, let's say late, about like, yeah, like mid-20s, and you're just newly engaged and you're
Yeah.
just starting off your career and all that stuff. And I I felt so out of it. Very, very dark space. And I just didn't know how to handle the whole
Mm-hmm.
situation of what this doctor was telling me. And then moving on to different doctors, when everything was confirmed, my actual specialist now was able to kind of put it into words of, this is what's going on, but we can do something to kind of
Mm-hmm.
stabilize
Okay.
what is left of the vision, right? But I honestly, I think the first 2 years was very dark for me because I felt like my life was over.
Totally.
Because I'm thinking one of these days I could go completely blind,
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing that we can do. And I think the quality of life is what triggered me. What kind of quality life will I have?
Yeah, of
Like,
course.
and plus, what kind of life would I give to my husband now?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Totally. I mean, you were at like such a young age that you had you still have so much life to live, and so much to experience. And like
Yes.
I feel like having some of that maybe like change or
Oh, it
taken
really
away, like
did.
that's
And
it feels awful.
and I even had to ask him, like, would you still want to marry me?
Mm-hmm.
I
Ugh.
like, because
Yeah.
everyone's like, why would you ask him? Like, because it's not fair for him.
Yeah.
It's not,
Totally.
and it's not fair that I know that he loves me, but it's not fair that this is a huge
For
responsibility. This is
sure.
for the rest of our life.
Yes.
So it's only fair that I would ask, would you still want to marry me? Even my families were asking him, like, are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this and that. Like, will you be okay to take care of her? And so on, right? And after about a year and a half, he even said to me, we can still get married. We will still get married.
Mm,
And as if like nothing's changed.
yeah.
And I think he's the big key and reason to why the first 2 years, it was very dark, but he was one of the biggest reason to like kind of hit me in the face where I could still have that quality life. I could still enjoy life,
Totally. I think he was treating you just as you
you
are,
know?
and there wasn't, I guess, maybe like
And
that
there's not many
stigma.
people like
No,
that.
it's so
I'm
true.
being real. Like, there's not. It's a huge responsibility.
Absolutely. But I think I don't know.
But love is love. I
Exactly.
just
When you find the right person, I don't think it matters, right? Like I
I
think you
know.
just like you take on whatever kind of comes your way, right?
Yes. So
And
I mean, hey,
kudos to him.
exactly right. Those vows of like through what sickness and
And
health, all
health,
that.
yes.
It was legit real.
Yeah,
Like,
that's so
yeah.
powerful.
So we went ahead 2 years. Yeah, about 2012, we got married, and I mean, there was still crazy dark times, but here I am.
Of course, because I think like, a lot of the time, the physical part is like just sort of like one step, right? It's like
Yeah,
really the psychological and the emotional part of healing
I
that
know.
takes the longest and and I think is like often the hardest part, like versus the
Yes.
physical healing. Like it really is like that processing through all of
Yes,
those
because it
emotions.
gets our minds.
Yes,
It's the mind is very
it
powerful,
really
and
is.
it destroyed me for many years. I was such in a dark space where I did not want to live.
Hmm.
Like,
Wow.
I legit attempted many times. I'm not trying to be alive
Yeah,
anymore. And it hit me where there has to be freaking some sort of reason why I'm still here,
totally.
because all these things that I've been trying to do to not be here, suicidal is a huge thing and a huge
Absolutely, it
part of
is.
my life. And I always say there has to be a reason to why I'm still here.
Totally.
So let's just snap out of it, because I'm the one that's gonna lose out. That's what
Yes.
That's my husband would always remind me. You're the one that's gonna lose out,
Hmm.
and it's not. The world is obviously not gonna stop, but you can snap out of this and find your purpose.
Totally. And
And
I think you're doing just that. And
I
thank you
mean,
so much for sharing like that sort of piece, as
yeah, we all go through a lot of things. We're all struggling,
mhm.
but there has to be a reason why we're still here, right?
Totally. I truly believe it. I think, as someone who also is, a suicide survivor, it's like,
Yeah.
it's not easy. And, but I think that we can sort of, that maybe there's like a point, I think like in our emotional journey where, we either like let this thing like consume us,
Yes.
or we change the dialogue, we change the narrative inside of our mind, and we're like, okay, like I'm going to use this to drive me forward. And like, how
Yes.
can I like turn this into something beautiful, and I think that
I like
we have the
that.
power inside of ourselves
Exactly.
to do that. Um, I think it's amazing.
Right?
And
I
I think it's
know.
important why I think like why you're using social media to like, have these sort of dialogues, because I'm sure that there are millions of people out there
Let me
that
even tell
also
you,
experience this.
no, that's 100%. And that is so true because when I was diagnosed, I'm telling you, I didn't even know there was so many people like me who are
Yeah.
visually impaired or legally blind. All I didn't know. And when I started to share my photos on
Hmm.
Instagram, it wasn't even because of I just used it to take to edit my photos and then transfer it to Facebook
Yeah.
to show my family
Yeah,
that oh
totally.
I'm here, not realizing so many people are jumping on Instagram as well because at that time barely anybody was on the platform.
Totally.
And I felt so alone. And then when I started to realize, wait a minute, there's so many of us. And even other disabled people, there's just so many of us around the
Absolutely.
world. And I started to feel less alone. And I always told myself that I was in a dark, dark space where I had no one. No
Hmm.
one can relate to exactly what I was feeling. So when all these amazing human beings were reaching out to me,
Hmm.
in the beginning and even now where, oh my gosh, like you are truly this and that. And how do you go about life? I just made it to myself where I want to be there for them. And because I never want anyone to feel what I felt,
Totally.
you
That
know,
doesn't feel
and
good.
it doesn't.
No.
And I'm very, very privileged of living in a country where there's a lot of support,
Yes.
but I've met a lot of people that don't have that in their countries,
Hmm.
don't even know what a white cane is.
Wow.
So that's why I was telling my husband and just my vision of why I share my journey on my platform and just share everything is because not many people have that kind of support. And if
Totally.
I could help somebody, even if there's always one, let's say just one person listening to me, because I talk a lot, but I mean, who's real, you know what I mean? If there's
Yes.
somebody that's listening to me and I'm able to change the way they see life,
Hmm.
then I am a winner. Like
Absolutely.
I did a job. I did a great job because I had nobody.
Totally. And I think that's like the work that goes like beyond ourselves, right? Like, and I think that there's something really powerful about that,
Yes.
right? Because I think like, a lot of, I think the way that humans can be, it can be very just about ourselves, or just our family, but I think when you
Yes.
go beyond and helping people that you don't know, I think that that's such powerful work. And I think that that is the work that like moves, I think, the world forward,
Yes.
right?
That's exactly what I use my platform really. And then afterwards, I was kind of just saying to myself, I'm like, well, I'm more than my disability too, though.
Absolutely.
I'm a regular human being where I love certain things and I start to share that kind of side of me as well, just because I want my community to
Hmm.
understand that we can have it all.
Totally.
We can do it all.
Exactly.
If you want to go and sit at a coffee shop, and because I love coffee
Yes.
shops,
Oof.
or if you want to put on whatever you want to put on, or style yourself, or go shopping, or just anything that's going to bring your life into full, just that high, I can't even explain, but that just that beautiful thing of energy and everything, just
Mhm.
go for it.
Totally.
So that's why I start to share like my other side of me where it's like, I'm not just a legally blind woman.
Totally.
Like I'm a mom, I'm a girlfriend, I'm a wife. I love fashion. I love to eat out. I love everything as well. I love to work out, this, and we can do it all.
Absolutely. And I don't
And
think
it
that your
brings my life,
disability like
yeah,
stops you from doing that, right? Like, I
exactly.
mean,
It
for
gives my soul, like that's what it is. It's my
yes.
soul that's on
Exactly.
fire.
You need to feed that,
Yeah.
right? And
And I want
for
everyone to
everyone
understand
listening to you,
that.
I just have to say, like, the outfit is amazing. You're
I
giving,
was
like
honestly, I was like, I'm meeting Miles today, and I know for a fact they are gonna be like obviously looking so good. But I just wanted to come in with my baggy stuff because I'm all about baggy right
I'm
now and
into it.
feeling comfy.
And I think this is something that I really, like, appreciate about you and, like, what you share on social media is, like, you always look so fabulous, like, whatever you're doing, you know? And I think that that's, like, really, like, important because I don't think that there's, like, one look to, disability.
No,
I
and
know we
that's
were kinda chatting a bit
oh
about that
my
earlier, but, like,
gosh.
you got the jewelry is jewelrying, you
Miles,
know?
before I was even diagnosed, I was always into looking good.
Yes, I
Like
love it.
feeling good, whatever my soul is gonna bring that day, I'm gonna put it on.
Yeah.
And what you could say is like, yeah, I'm always into fashion type of thing, right? But obviously now I'm expressing a lot more about my disability, but it's
Yes.
like, but why do you look like that? But I mean, or you're faking your disability
Yeah. That's
and
interesting that you say that.
you're faking it
Yeah.
because why are you looking at your phone?
Yeah.
Why are you able to dress that way or put on whatever you want, like a little makeup here and there and
Yeah.
so on, right? Everything. But I'm just like, but first of all, what do you want me to look like?
Totally.
Like, I always say, if I feel like shit, I don't want to look like shit.
Yeah,
Do you know
exactly.
what I mean? But to me, it's like, there's no certain look for a disabled person or
No. Exactly. I
it's
think that
how you
there's a
feel.
spectrum of disability,
There
and I
is.
don't think that there is, like,
Well, that's
one.
why we did that city line.
Yeah, exactly. We
Yes.
had to show it, and that's just it. Like, I think it's like people are so consumed with, like, wanting to, like, put someone in a box no matter whatever it is,
Yeah.
like, and it's just like I think it's so frustrating and it's like, no, like, people someone who is legally blind, it can be a spectrum of
It can,
people and people have different,
and
levels of vision, I guess, like, within
well,
that,
that's what it
right?
is. So
So,
there's about 93, I was just 93%
yes.
of visually impaired that there's some level of vision.
Yeah,
And we all have different conditions as well,
totally.
right? And there's only what, about 7% that's complete no vision at all.
Yes.
But to me, it's like, there, for example, with technologies, oh,
Mhm.
why are you looking at your phone? How can you do that? But there's certain things now in the world where it has to cater to us as well.
Mhm.
And these are
Absolutely.
why gadgets are coming out with these amazing like technologies and
Mhm.
all these things, accessibility, right? It's for us to also use.
Totally.
And I feel like not many will ever understand, and that is why we use our voice and
Mhm.
why I share what I want to share on my social platform, where I am just like you,
Totally.
and I could also see a little bit, not the way you probably see things,
Yes.
but I make it work. I
Totally.
go about it still.
Yeah, you're doing the best you can.
Yeah.
So
But I mean, at the end of the day, we're always gonna get that. But then we just have to keep speaking up
totally.
and educating and advocating, and it gets exhausting because
Absolutely.
sometimes you're not in the mood. But at the same time, it's like, but we need to make some change, right? And I mean, this is how I am, and what else is there, right?
Totally. Hey, you are doing it. And and I think we're both on, like, a similar journey in our own, like, kind of spectrums of things, but it's
Yeah,
like yeah, it's like I feel like it's important, to push the world forward, and it's like as exhausting as it can be sometimes with just trying to deal with I think like the ignorance of people, it's
I know, and you know what
um
it is. Sometimes it does break my heart
yeah, of course.
because, especially if you're not in the right space at that moment, too.
Totally.
But then I have to remind myself where I've come so far.
Mhm.
Like I've been broken many, many times, even
Exactly.
outside my disabilities, right?
Totally.
And I've come so far, and I, this is just how it's gonna be. Like
Mhm.
I just have to keep it moving
Totally.
and be
I
awesome.
love it. I love it. Now, I guess like for you on your like journey of like healing and self-acceptance and like was there something that really like helped you, like on I think like reclaiming maybe your power again, like I think over your identity and who you are?
I always told myself, especially like that first few years of
Mhm.
not wanting to live, not figure out like what kind of life am I gonna have? when I started to really change my mindset, I said, there's nothing in this world that I can't do.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that my heart desires and everything that I would want for myself, I can do it and I can
Yes.
have it just like anybody else. And I knew for a fact it's not going to be easy and still
Yeah.
not easy. Like,
Totally.
we don't just wake up and be all, it's every day is not easy,
No.
but I feel like when I look in that mirror, and I'm telling you my friends know this.
Mm-hmm.
I look in that mirror and I say, I am the shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean, am I allowed to swear here?
Yeah, of course.
And it's not being that vain. It's because I've been through so much and I've sought help. I've done
Mhm.
many therapy work, all
Love
that
it.
stuff. And I've been through so much, even outside my disabilities,
Mhm.
where I am able to do it all still and I'm able to still get up. And I think when I look at myself now where I can do it, you are that, Mara.
Mhm.
I will go out there, even if I have to like just walk my son to the bus stop and I'm like, I
Totally.
own it.
Yes.
Because I look at my life and all of our lives where you've been through so much.
Mhm.
Like what else can
Totally.
more things are gonna come for sure, but
Absolutely.
I mean, we're already navigating what it is now and how our life has been. You can do it all.
Yes.
And my heart feels like I'm doing a right thing. And whatever I tell myself, I'm granted for it because I believe in that. And as long as I feel like you're a good person, you're doing the right thing, you can have it all,
Totally. And
you
and I
know?
think I think to your point, it's like it's not I don't think that like happiness is something that is just like freely given. I think it actually like takes a lot of work
It
and
really,
like
yes.
dedication to yourself and to your family and to like the people around you and y-
That is a huge, that is huge, huge for me,
yes.
especially after losing my mom. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I was a total wreck.
Yeah. Oh,
I
of
felt like
course.
I was back to that space of when I
Mm.
was just diagnosed
Ugh.
with my disabilities
It's
because it's
interesting how
another grief.
trauma like
It is. It's
resurges,
trauma and it's grief,
Yes,
right? Because
absolutely.
when I talk about my disabilities and people don't understand is that it's also grieving. It's
Yeah,
also because I lost my independence fully.
totally.
I can't drive.
No.
There's certain things that I tell myself I can do it all, but I really
Yes.
can't do it all. But you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
totally.
But going back to when I lost my mom and going back to family,
Mhm.
I was an angry,
Mhm.
mad woman.
Yes.
I was very, very angry and so sad. And, but I didn't, oh my God, good thing I brought tissue. Cause but, it, to me, it's like, my family's, they don't deserve to be around me.
Yeah.
And I have to be at a good mind state
Mhm.
because I have a son and I have a
Yes.
husband and even everybody else that loves me. I can't be this way.
Mhm.
So again, I had to just put on a lot of work in terms of how to heal and how
Mhm.
to accept what's happened now. And I feel like, I mean, when you talk about power and how to go about your life,
Mhm.
you find what will work best for you, right?
Yes.
I mean, if I feel like today I just want to listen to a podcast and listen to
Yeah,
some good music to kind of heal me a little bit, then that is my power for that day,
totally.
right?
I love that you brought that up because I think it's like there's not one prescription to like healing, right?
There
Like I think
isn't.
we all need to sort of figure out our individual sort of like what are things that bring us joy and like what allows us to heal like within our
Yes.
lives, because like, for me it was like I started in like the self-help books, like and listening to like audiobooks and I was like, okay, I'm going to start there and then
I started there too.
totally.
I
And then I'm like,
did.
then that led me down like the spiritual journey of like
Yes.
I was like dabbling in psychedelics and like, and doing yoga and like trying to like go the
Yes.
spiritual route. And then I was like, okay, like I think I went too far that way. And like,
Yes.
then I came back and I was like, okay, I needed like a psychotherapist.
Well, I did. I know that's what I said to myself too. And then I went back and I made all these appointments with my therapist. But I
yes.
also want to touch base on it's when I started to like read those books and
Yes.
read those audiobooks, what really helped me a lot more,
Hmm.
especially a couple of years back
Yes.
with my mom, is I really connecting with real people that like such as you or such as
Yes.
people that I actually know around me
Totally.
and listening to their journey,
Absolutely.
right? So, and just be like, oh my gosh, like even certain jokes that people put up, I'm like, oh, it's making me happy. It's making me
Yeah.
smile today.
Totally.
And it's just being who I'm with and surrounded with. I
Mhm.
feel like I need to always surround myself with good energy, good people.
It's so true. Because I think, like, a lot of the time, I think, like, with grief comes loneliness. And I think what we don't realize is when we are feeling, grief or loneliness or, those emotions that are within that,
Yeah,
is that we actually need community. We need
we
people. We
do.
and as much as like, I think because we grew up in a society where we're like, I don't want to be a burden, but like we need to let go of that.
We
You
need to
know?
know exactly. We
Ugh,
need to let go of those things. And this is why we do what we do on our
yes,
platform
totally.
is because we need our community,
Yes, absolutely. Like,
right?
these are the people that are gonna help get you through this, and are gonna lift you up when maybe you don't have the energy or the strength to do that
Yeah.
for yourself. So, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
all about it.
I'm all about I'm all about it too because it's the community we're building and the people we're meeting along the way where oh my god, you are giving me joy.
Yes,
You are giving me some fire in me where okay, fine, if I want to work out today, let's say, I'm going to do that then because you lifted me up and or whatever
totally.
however. Or if I feel like I want to eat that because you went there and you said it was good
Yes.
because I love my food,
Yeah.
then
I love
I
it.
would and it's bringing me joy, right? And
Mhm.
it's I feel like I'm all about, especially now where I'm just gonna do what makes me feel good because I need that. I mean, we're getting
Totally. And that's
older,
such a
and
gift that you're giving to yourself. That is, like, real self-love, I think,
yes,
is doing those things,
doing
right?
those things and
And it's like
just
changing the script because I think a lot of the time, like, when we're maybe feeling down or we're like, life is feeling heavy, we sort
yeah.
of like, maybe sometimes like we recluse and maybe you need that time, but also it's like, okay, like after a
Wo-
period of time, like,
I know
how do you change the script? Like, how do you get yourself
exactly.
up, go do something else that brings you joy,
Yes,
and like, y- I think it's important to like train our brains to like do that. So whether it's like
yeah.
for you
You
going to a restaurant, or going to a
exactly.
cafe, it's like you have to like dedicate those sort of actions like to yourself because that's going to retrain your brain to like
Yes.
not sit in that sort of cycle of negativity,
Like, don't get me wrong. There are days when I need a day or two where I would just want to be on the couch,
Totally. We all
and
deserve those
we all
days.
deserve those days. But it's like you're right. When are we gonna like get out of that?
Totally. Like, what's the boundary that we're setting for ourselves, like within that, Okay,
Yes,
you're like, okay, I'm going to give
and I
myself a couple days and then I need to go, like,
right. Oh my gosh, can you imagine if I was still back to my old self where I was very gone for 2 or so years,
I feel that.
and I don't want to fall back into that,
Totally.
right? But yeah, I just need to do something that's really uplifting and making me happy a little
Mhm.
bit.
And I think it's beautiful, like, discovering what those things are, Like, I think, like, a lot of the time we're afraid to try things or we're afraid to do things, but it's like, no, that's part of, like, living
Part of
is
living,
that
and that's what I
discovery.
share too because when they think disabled people, it's like we don't live.
Mhm, totally.
Be
So
like, "Why
true.
are you doing that?" Or
Yeah.
if they seem I'm like, "Why not?
Yeah.
Why can't I do this?"
Exactly.
Like, yeah, it'll be probably harder, but why can't I? Why can't we do this?
Mhm.
It's
100%.
not just for the regular normal sighted people
No.
or able it's we should all be able to just live. And I always say that I'm like, I'm entitled to
Yeah,
live,
you deserve it just as much
right?
as anyone else.
Exactly. But no, with the disabled community, it's so tough because it's like they just automatically think that you are not able to do anything,
Mhm,
that I
totally.
should just be home and mope around and whatever else that they probably expect me to do.
And it's hard because I think that, like, because of movies and TV shows, there's been,
I
like, this very,
know.
like, sort of negative
There's always,
picture on disability
yes.
like, people living with disabilities,
And
and
that's what we're
it's like, we
changing.
gotta it is the movement is happening, you
Like,
know?
have you ever seen, I always tell my girls or whoever, I'm like, have you ever seen, let's say, a legally blind person, but like, wow, just out and about?
Totally.
Why, to me, it's like, why can't people just be happy if
Yes.
people are outside and
Yeah,
living their best life?
absolutely.
Versus it's like, why are they there?
Totally. No. Oh my gosh.
It's oh my God.
It's so
We can go
frustrating.
on about this
I know,
topic,
I
but
feel
it's
you,
always
I
like,
feel you.
why? Why do you want me to just be at home or doing something else? Like, am I
Totally.
not allowed to sit here and enjoy myself?
It's almost like that they're, like, just going along with what society has, like, said that this is
And that's what,
what it
yeah,
should be or whatever. Like, I just think it's so silly. Like, I think
it
we
is
need to challenge our
silly.
mindsets around that.
It is very silly.
Is there anything else that you would say about, like, your disability that, like, people don't realize, you know? Like, maybe within your daily lives or, like, challenges that you face?
You know what? I want people to know that sometimes I forget that
Mhm.
I'm
I
disabled.
love it.
I do. I forget that I have my own damn struggles when it
Yeah.
comes to like, because I'm so caught up with my 6-year-old son.
Mhm.
And obviously, I have a family.
Yes.
And when I am getting him ready, let's say, there are many days and so many times where I've hit the walls or tripped or
Yes.
even knocked him
Yeah,
over
totally.
because I didn't see that Bronx
Mhm.
is there. And I forget that I am also going through so much and that
Mhm.
I can't see well, because I'm so caught up with mom mode. This and that. I gotta do this. I gotta cook. Taking care of my family.
Yeah.
And I want people to know that we are just regular people
Mhm.
where we do have a family or we have, even if I would say I was single, I have a life.
Mhm.
We have a life.
Totally.
And it's not just focused on like my disabilities and what's holding us back. And I always say I gotta keep it going
Yeah,
because life goes on and I have a little one.
absolutely.
And I think that goes for everything where it's like we have to keep it going. Like, what are we gonna do?
Totally.
Just sit around? I mean, we gotta make life happen, right?
No way. I mean, you have
And
to
I
keep living with your
and
with your
that's
family.
and I always like there are times when I always get upset
Mhm.
sometimes where my family or even some of my friends will will forget that I am going through like because
Mhm.
there are times when we're walking along, having
Yes.
fun, and they stop, let's say, and I'm going about my way, but I'm still talking because I'm
Yes.
thinking they're next to me.
Yeah.
Or they forget that, oh, Mara needs help.
Mm.
And I would get upset, but then I am reminded of what my mom always told me. We forget because we look at you and it's like you're not even going through this
Yeah.
because you're able to hold it down.
Mhm.
But then I always say, but I'm able to do that because I have no choice.
Totally.
I feel like we have no choice but to keep it going, to just make life happen.
Yeah.
And then I have to sit back sometimes, especially when I trip, let's say, or I have a big bruise
Mhm.
or I just overall like doing something very, very wrong because you couldn't see.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shoot, like, oh, it hits me that, oh my God, here we go again because I can't see well.
Mhm.
But then I I forget because like I said, we just have to keep living life and keep it going.
Totally. I mean, I think like you get into like, a rhythm where it feels normal, until
Yeah.
something happens,
Like there are
right?
times when I have to remind my
Yes.
son, I'm like, Roxy, I can't see.
Yeah.
He has this thing out with the Waldo books.
Okay.
What is it? Find Waldo?
Yeah. Where's Waldo or
Oh yeah,
something?
where's Waldo?
Yeah.
Find Waldo. Where's Waldo? Luckily, I've memorized that book where I know it's around that
Yes.
particular page, right? But I'm like, Bronx, I can't see well,
Yeah.
and I just have to always remind him that there are certain things that mommy can't do,
Mhm.
and this and that. And that's why I always just tell myself where it's good to always educate and advocate
Yes.
because we have our little kids.
Totally.
Some of my friends' kids are like, why do you have that? My cane, my
Yes.
white cane. Well, because I can't see well and it helps me be independent and
Yes.
so on. And this is exactly what also sharing to the world where, because adults sometimes don't get it as well,
Totally.
where this is what we do. And we just got to keep it moving, but life doesn't stop. And that's what I always say. I'm just like regular people as well, where I have to live,
Totally.
right?
Yeah, you're accessorized, like, you
Oh
have
my
your other
God.
things, but that's okay, Like, I think it's
Well,
just
I
as
always
part of
say
it.
my white cane has
Yeah,
been, for the past almost 13 years, has been one of my best accessory.
totally, it is, like, the Chanel of
It,
your
it really
accessories.
is.
Yeah.
And luckily, honestly, I get one every year, so it's pretty good. That's what I'm saying. I'm living at a country where it's very privileged,
Yeah,
where they provide that for us.
okay,
So that's why I do what I do, where I have to be there for my community because
yes,
some of them are in different countries where they don't have that help.
totally. Because
right?
like, so do you have to pay for it at all, or it's like,
So when you are signed with CNIB, which is Canadian National Institute for the Blind, so your
okay,
specialist will actually refer you right away.
okay,
So CNIB is known from all over Canada,
yes,
and you just sign up with them. They provide all the support that you need, even mobility help, even somebody coming into your house to kind of
mm,
help you around what to watch out for and so on. And
yes,
going back to the cane, so the government actually with CNIB, they'll provide you a white cane once a year, and
okay,
all you have to do is pay tax for it.
okay.
So it's not
That's
bad.
pretty good.
So I get one every year and take advantage of that, right? So what right now I'm trying to work on with other people that I'm actually talking to
Hmm.
is that some of them don't even have that kind of
Yeah.
help. So I did say, I don't know, but I did say like, if you want, because I have a lot, like
Yes.
I could always provide you with one. I could give you
Yeah.
mine,
Yeah.
right? And ship it over and so on, right? I don't know if people should hear that, but because they don't have that kind of help.
Totally.
And
But you can also help support them to get signed up,
exactly, yeah.
hopefully as
Because like
well.
I
Or
don't know,
yeah.
it's crazy because some countries don't even have, well, first of all, they don't even have like the sidewalk properly. Like
Yeah,
it's not
totally.
accessible.
No, absolutely.
So they fear for their lives being outside.
Oh, absolutely.
Here, where I feel very privileged, where I could just be out and
Hmm.
about. So there's a lot of changes we need to do, but this is why all of us, even not just the legally blind community,
Hmm.
all the disabled communities, where we need to make a change in
Yes.
terms of how this world goes about, like say airlines or
Yes.
just even just buying something offline
Totally.
or everything. Like it's not really catered to our needs.
No,
So it's really sad, but this is why it was so nice to always see different disabled people where we're doing what we can to fully educate everybody and change
totally.
the world, right?
Well, like I think it now at this point, it needs to be an expectation.
Yes,
Because like I
make everything
guess
accessible,
100%. It absolutely does.
inclusive.
Because even for like, for like yourself too, like I guess or other people that, have like a visual impairment, like I guess like online shopping must be so difficult
It's so
because like
difficult.
because unless there's like what is it called?
It's
Sub the alt text. Yeah.
the alt text is very important, especially
Yeah.
even when we do write our captions and
Yes.
everything else. But there are some companies that actually now want to change all the websites.
Mm,
So, because some websites don't use certain things for people like me, right?
okay.
So it is hard. And you need a lot of help, but this is why sometimes it's good that you have technologies now where you can actually have everything zoomed up,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So
Yeah.
it's a huge help. But
Is it an app or like what do you use?
so what I use is all. If you look at my phone, everything is just big.
Okay, so you just like go into the settings
Just go
and
to
like
settings.
yeah.
Everything is big. Change colors are changed.
Yes.
I have a voiceover.
Okay.
So things that can actually fully help me
Yeah.
and make things a little bit easier, right?
Mhm.
But online shopping, it is very hard, and I don't like being at the mall
Yeah,
sometimes.
of course. I'm sure it's
But
overwhelming.
if there's a way, there's a way. I mean, I just have to like legit zoom everything up and be like, oh, this looks nice. I feel
Yeah.
like this is like
This'll work.
okay on me. If not, then
Yeah.
just return it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I said, we find our ways and we
Totally.
make things work. So yeah.
I wanna go back though to one thing that I think we were talking about earlier, and I because you sort of were like alluding to like or not alluding, but you were like kind of talking about like I guess like your relationship with your family and your friends about like them forgetting about,
Yeah,
your
man.
disability. Because I
And
think
we laugh about it.
totally. But I think it's like I think about like how we ask for support, I think is really important, Like and I think like what sort of that can look like because I think even for myself, like I wish that people would not pretend that it doesn't exist, like my things, and I wish that people would
Yes.
ask me about it, because I think like it bothers me sometimes when people like don't acknowledge it,
Yes.
and then like just continue to like go on with their lives,
Yes.
And it's like, like you, like I'm living with HIV. It's like I wish my friends would ask me, like, how
I
how
meant
are you doing with that?
you know
You
what?
know?
Honestly, Maz, I meant to ask you that.
Yeah.
I mean, like on when we were
Yeah,
back and
yeah.
forth messaging. But I'm like, I don't want them to think that I'm so crazy because we barely even really
No,
know. We've only
fair.
met once in
No, but I
person.
think like you get
But
it on a level of like,
but I did.
yes.
I honestly did. So now you're giving me permission to
Yeah,
just
totally.
check in on you and be like, "How are you, Miles?" So
Totally.
that's okay. I'm holding you to that because I'm
Deal.
gonna check in on
Likewise.
you and be like, "How are you?"
Yes.
You're right.
Because it's like, to me, like being able to like talk about it and like it not be like something that like, people just like kind of hide under the rug, like that, it normalizes it for me being able to
And we need to normalize that.
yeah,
We need
like
to normalize asking for help and
yes,
how to ask, "How are you?"
totally.
Like legit, "How are you
Yes,
doing?"
totally.
Because not many do that.
No, it's so
Not many.
true. Like something I do, like, like I'm trying to actively do with my friends now is I'll be like, like if they're going through something, I'll be like, okay, like how can I support you? Like what does support like look like that you
For
need right
you.
now? And like
Yeah.
it's something I'm trying to practice. It's like, it's
I know, me
super
too.
hard to
Yes.
do
No,
sometimes.
it is
And
super hard,
yeah,
especially I feel like especially when we're all going through our own stuff.
yes,
And I always tell myself, "Oh my gosh, I can't always think about me. It's
totally.
not always about you, Mara."
Yeah,
So there are, if I especially if I know some people are very quiet,
yes,
"Are you okay?
yeah.
And do you need anything?" And if they say something and I'm like, "Okay, I'll back off." And I'll just say, "I'm always here, so
Hmm.
just let me know
Totally.
what
I
I can
love that.
do or if you need anything." Because sometimes, I want to give them their
Yeah,
space, right?
absolutely.
So, but as long as they know, like, I'm here and let me know, shoot me a message if you want anything.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. I think you're just like extending the olive branch and it's always there for
I
someone to
feel the
take,
same way where it's like sometimes my friends, where, oh my gosh, they didn't even like do this or,
Yeah,
but then I have to say, you know what, maybe my mom was right because
totally.
you're going about your life where it's like you seem okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Like even, so recently I switched over my HIV medication and
Yes.
I am
You
now
share
like onto
that.
an injection. But, so Tyler and I have been going through sort of like something that sort of happened like within our relationship in that sort of changeover,
Okay.
right? Because there's really like no risk of like infection of like me giving him HIV when I switched over my
Yes.
medication, but like, I wanted to be like 1,000 times like, sure.
Yes.
So, like there had been some like sort of instances of just like things that came up like over the last like 2 months as I've been switching
Yeah.
over that like Tyler, I don't think had any idea, that he was doing, but it was like reactivating like a lot of my trauma around my
Oh,
HIV,
yes.
but it was just like, so I think that there is sort of these like situations where, again, people are not aware and like you need to like vocalize them and like talk
I
about it,
know.
and it's like something that's so hard for
Tyler's
me.
probably like, "You should just talk to
Literally, but
me."
I waited like 2 months to talk to him about it, but I was like,
I
but
know that's the
because
problem with me too. Sometimes I just Baz will be like, "Well, you can't just assume that I
Yes,
know what you're
totally.
feeling." You know what I mean? So I'm like,
Absolutely.
"Yeah, I know." Because to me, it's like because you're my partner, I just feel like you always would just know. And I know even though he knows,
Yes,
but he doesn't know to the extent of like what is really in going on in my mind
it's so
or
true.
what I'm feeling, right?
Yes,
And that's what he always has to remind me where, well, you gotta speak up.
totally.
Like there's so many things going on. Like,
Yes,
but you're right. Like Tyler's probably like, just tell me.
totally. Oh, and
Talk to
that's
me.
exactly what he wants, but it's like
2
we have to
months? Oh my
empower ourselves,
gosh.
to like to take that, but it's like it's always like I don't know if you feel this way, like I know I kind of mentioned it earlier, but I never want to feel like I'm like burdening someone. And
I've always been that way
and
too.
I'm like, so it's like something that I'm really trying to like work through. It's like, no, it's not like burden is not the right word. It's like I am, like it's about like open and honest communication and there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that,
I there's nothing wrong with that, but I also feel when we talk about the burden is because I'm always mindful of, like I said, everyone is going through something,
Yes, totally.
whether it's big or small.
Yes,
And I tell this to everybody because to them, for us, it could be small, let's
for sure.
say, but to
Totally.
them, it's like something huge,
Yes.
you know? But I always say, like, but you're going through something.
Hmm.
And thus I'm like, hey, I need to stop this, your burdening thing, because you know what? I need to be there. I need to also tell them I'm not feeling good, let's say, or I
Totally.
need some help, or I
Yes.
need some loving, I need some girl time or
Exactly.
whatever,
Totally.
right? But it's one of those things where we need to speak up.
100%.
So
Yes.
I know
Oh,
we really need to do that.
yeah.
But I think we're always just mindful of everybody's situations, right? And that's what
Totally.
it is. And I don't want to bug anybody, but sometimes You have to.
Exactly. I don't think that we can like make ourselves like I think it's like, you kind of go through the world like making yourself smaller and I'm like this is like my mission for next year is like I'm not making myself smaller anymore. I am like owning my space. I am
You
owning,
I'm
like
I'm I'm
what
I'm really, really digging this. We're already looking into the
Yeah, I'm
2024,
like
what
this
I
is the
want,
thing
because
I need
I'm
to work
about the
on.
same thing.
I
I'm
love
like,
it.
2024, I just want this. I want to make some sort of changes in so and so. Like I'm the same
I
way.
love it.
So, oh my
Uh,
gosh.
So before we wrap up, I would love maybe if you could like maybe share a little bit about like, where maybe like people who are listening, maybe like for people in their lives or like businesses or like, how can people make things more like accessible? Is there little things that people can do, to help?
First of all, what
Yes.
they could do when we
Yes.
talk about, let's say, the fashion world, the
Yes.
fashion industry, why isn't there many of us up there?
Totally.
Where is the
Yeah,
representation?
100%.
That is, I think, what not just me, but everybody's thinking.
Yes.
Where don't you guys ever wonder that we would be rocking that too?
Totally.
Like, to me, I want to see so many people, beautiful
Yes.
people, people like us
Mhm.
up there and making a change. Because if there's more of us up there, everyone's gonna clue into like, wow,
Mhm.
like look at that, look at
Totally.
them.
Well, it normalizes it more, right?
Exactly. And
Getting
I think
positive representation.
exactly. And the power of seeing people like us and all of us up there
Mhm.
is what's gonna help in some ways because come on, everyone now is always on social media or
Totally.
this and that. But if you see people representing our community,
Mhm.
then you know those people are very special, first of all,
Yes.
and that they do love what everybody else loves.
Totally.
Because that's what I want. I want to see more of me there, like people like me, people, or just making changes of like how to live life.
Mhm.
People are there right now are fighting to travel
Yes.
with the wheelchairs because that was a
Totally.
huge
Yeah,
thing.
it's awful.
And it's like when are we gonna be taken seriously?
Mhm.
That we also I love to travel,
Yes.
even before I was legally like
Yeah.
diagnosed. And if I were to go somewhere oh my gosh, last time I was in Europe, people were looking at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Like, why does she have that? Or even when I go back to the Philippines, why does she have that?
Ugh.
But if they see us
Yes.
in billboards or magazines expressing why
Yeah.
we have certain things or
Totally.
then people are gonna clue in,
Mhm. Exactly.
right?
It makes it less of like an unknown, like
Exact.
it just again
Yes.
normalizes it. So I think it's so huge.
Like
And I think like businesses, like I think like, now they're looking at like, okay, like how are we diversifying our marketing in terms of like, skin tone? But I think it like goes beyond that. It's like,
yes.
how are we including people with disabilities? How are we including
Well,
other
listen,
gender identities? We need to
exactly.
go like further than just
Further
skin
than
tone, you know?
exactly. Or even let's say with all these right now with the technology, let's say,
Mhm.
where make technology very accessible.
Yes,
So it makes us like obviously life easier for us.
totally.
And when they see that kind of stuff, people are gonna clue in where, okay, that is why she's on her phone.
Mhm.
Because people right now are thinking, I'm faking it.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at your phone? If you're legally blind. Well, hello. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's helping me navigate
Exactly.
life.
100%.
So it's in full circle where if you do this, then in my mind, people, it's going to change a lot of things,
Yes.
right? And that goes with everything in life, whether if, businesses
Mhm.
or if people want to travel, like
Yes.
people can't even travel because they're not making it accessible,
Totally.
and it's not fair
No, it
because like I
isn't.
said, we're regular people. We love the same thing that you love.
Absolutely. You deserve the exact same experience.
Right? But no, that phone thing is I've had many, many people where, but why are you looking at your phone? But then I'll be like, because I want to look at my cute self.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, we just need to change a lot of things. And this is why it's always nice to see people like us
Mhm.
up there, people like me up there
Totally.
with every business, every single thing, because we love it.
Totally.
We're just regular people. Just
Wow.
going through a little struggles, but we can make it
Exactly.
happen.
Hey, keep doing what you're doing. You're changing the world.
Yeah.
So where can people find you on social media?
Pretty much just my Instagram.
Okay.
It is Ate Mara. It spells like eight Mara, ATEMARA. Everyone gets confused with that, but
Yeah.
it's really Ate. Ate is big sister in the Philippine culture.
Oh, I love it.
So I feel like I'm a big sister with all people that I'm connecting with,
Yes.
that I'm helping them. So I just kept it. So it's ATEMARA, Atimara on Instagram.
Ugh.
Really, yeah.
I like that. I love this like little like bridge of like your culture and your like
I know,
together with it.
I
Like
know
think
everyone's
that's
like,
so
because I
nice.
speak Tagalog too, right?
Yeah.
So I'm really very strict with that with my son because I
Yes.
want him to grow
Of
up to
course.
understand.
Totally.
But it's funny because I went to an event a couple of weeks back and they're like, is it 8 Mara? And I'm like, no, it's Ate Mara. But because Ate's big sister.
Totally.
But yeah, you can find me on
I
Instagram.
love it. Well, thank you
Thank
so
you. No,
much
honestly,
for
thank
being
you
a
for
part of this
having
episode. This
me.
was
I feel like
so
we could
powerful.
talk for days.
Agreed. I
Yeah.
feel like I need to have you back because there's so many other areas.
There's so many things we can touch.
from this conversation.
No, on it, I'm down. Let me know. I'm always down to talk. I just talk too much.
I know.
As you can
It's
tell.
perfect.
But that's what the beautiful journey is, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.